Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Friday, February 27th, also known as Fuck You Friday, my friends. Let's all come together. We've got a bunch of great things to talk about today, so let's get to the show. But before then, I want to go ahead and welcome in our audience. Let's see who the heck we have out there. Well, we've got Amiga Rules in the chat along with April. We got Bradley, Cap K, Craig Smith's out there. Good to see Eliza TLIC, Evan B, Frank Rappa's out there. I'll just say Frank Rappa. No, Frank Rappa. Geraldine Durazio's out there along with Grateful Benny. We've got GSB, T, he, whoopee. Kane Northrop. We got Kick-Ass Sporty. Let's See's out there along with Lon. Mark, good to see you. Megan Betts, Mississippian, is out there along with Neil Morgan. We got Niles Guy, one of our resident pit bulls. Good to see you, my friend. Watch out. He's got a badge, and he's not afraid to use it. Well, Kelly Broach just popped in with the piercing blue eyes. Good to see you, Kelly. Who else we have out there? We got PC Anderson, Peggy, and Steve. Good to see you, Peggy, all the way from the great state of Florida in the city of Miami. We got Plywood Pigeons out with us in the chat along with Prism Films. Good to see you, my friends. Push King is out there along with Randy, Robert, John, Roni, Deal, Rotary Matrix, and Scooby Dooby Gooby. We got the Shelley Montgomery. Good to see you, Shelley. Long time no see. Shinobi One Kenobi's out there as well, along with Sholoto or something. Tapuma, good to see you, my friend. Stephen Forbes, Stephen Hines, Steve Mateo, the Super Unknowns out there, along with 10 Briss Adams. We've got Teresa, The Wasteland, Teresa TV, Two Midgets on a Horse all the way from Idaho, and Warp Drive, We Beasties. Good to see you. Long time no see, all the way from Australia. Wendy Joe's out there, and Yankee 5858. How about that? Let's jump into this studio, and let's welcome in our co-host here, Mike. Mikey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about the Friday show tonight.
Oh, you think?
It'll be a fun chat.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Gosh, yes, good, yes, absolutely. We've got a bunch of interesting stuff to get to. Where did that one go? Yeah, we've got, let me get this here. I guess we can start off today as one of the things people are probably coming here to want to hear about today. Let me get to my pictures. I should have a bunch of pictures of Lou Elizondo I took the other day. I want to find a good one. Lou Elizondo was on an interview, phone-in interview. So, and it's over on YouTube, and it's coming from Glenn Beck. I didn't expect him to be there, Mike.
No, we didn't.
But he's got an interview, so as usual, let's go ahead and play this interview. We'll listen along, do a reaction to it, and as we hear things, we'll stop, talk about it, and continue on, and just, and he does talk about that situation where did he hear about this 2027, 2036 date, and he does reveal it, Mike. It's not exactly whom, but where he learned about it. So, shall we get to it?
Yes, please.
All right.
A good video.
Here. Well, it's a good listen. There's no video, but yeah, let's play. Let's listen in. Here we go.
Glenn, I'm doing better than I deserve. You know, I tell people at my age, any day above ground is a good day.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So do you remember having that conversation where you said the clock is ticking?
I do. I remember that, Glenn. I sure do.
So what did you mean by that?
Well, look, in the world of national security, the clock is always ticking. What do I mean by that? Well, you know, there are foreign adversaries out there that are very much involved in the research of UAP like we are, just like our country. And what you don't want to do is allow ourselves to get to a point of what we call strategic surprise, right? All of a sudden you have country X or country Y out there that may not necessarily be friendly to the U.S., and all of a sudden they find they have a breakthrough, right? So China has already admitted they have their own UAP program, so does Russia. And what we don't want to do is allow ourselves to fall behind some of our adversaries' capabilities. Now, there's also...
Yeah, really quick on that, Mike. It's not just falling behind our adversaries' capabilities with regards to UAP. One of the biggest reasons we have for disclosure not being brought forward is because the DOD, or our government in general, who's been covering up UFOs for the longest time, is highly concerned, not even just about sharing the information, but it's about giving them an inspiration.
Or at least giving them some insight as to either how far along we are or behind. Either way,
correct.
And we don't want them to know that.
No. Well, we don't want them to know about that. And more importantly, if we do know about something and they don't know about it, or we're doing something with it that they didn't have a clue on, which, you know, Mike, for the most part, The spies already know more than every person in the United States about what's going on in the program. It's the people who are there keeping the eyes in the dark.
The public. We talked about this recently. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's continue on. Here we go.
So another part of that conversation, too, what you don't want to do is allow so much time to go by that by the time you are forced to make a decision, all your options you've exhausted. Meaning, let's say that there is an announcement, let's say later this year, that life has been discovered somewhere else off of Earth, right? You don't want to be in a situation as a government where you are caught flat-footed and surprised, right, by that statement. You want to be as proactive as possible. You want to be able to have the conversation, socialize the idea with your citizens, because let's face it, governments writ large are the reason why they have the authority they do is because people have faith and confidence in those institutions. And
Mike, let me pause it again. It almost sounds like this is why the United States government, like what Trump is doing right now, needs to make the first move, because if we don't, we could potentially be hearing it from the head of Russia and the head of China.
And then trying to play catch up to all of that and making us look really bad.
Bingo. That's what he's talking about. Let's continue on. Here we go.
In those governments. And the last place any government wants to be is on their back foot, right? In a situation where they get surprised. And now, like we saw, for example, with the drone incursions that we had back in 2024.
We didn't get shit of an answer.
Up in New Jersey, right? First, the White House says there's nothing to see here, folks. And they say, well, actually, there is something to see here. Well, actually, all these drones have been coordinated through the FAA. Well, no, they haven't. We don't even know if they're drones at this point. Or the Chinese spy balloon, right, under the Biden administration. That's another case in point where decisions were made on our behalf because we simply didn't want to face the uncomfortable truth that China was sending reconnaissance balloons over North America completely unchallenged.
And Mike, weren't we promised answers about those drones? I mean, not the drones, the UFOs they shot down in Dead Horse, Alaska, over the Yukon in Canada. And then they chased it down. There was another one they chased around Maelstrom Air Force Base, where we have our nuke sites. And then eventually they shot it down over Lake Huron. They were supposed to go ahead and research this and bring out the truth, but we didn't get shit, did we?
No, not a damn thing. We got absolutely no information on this. It died right on the vine.
Yeah.
And we talked about it because we were pissed.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
They promised us answers and we didn't get shit.
No, we never do, unfortunately. Okay, let's continue on. Here we go.
So you started this out with imagine country X or Y. So are you saying that we're possibly facing something from another country?
Well, I think all is possible. All cards have to remain on the table until they're not. I think there is enough information to suggest that other countries are heavily invested in this topic. But keep in mind, we've been dealing with this now for decades. And when I say decades, at least 8 decades. That's 80 years. We've been dealing with this phenomenon. And if you
wait a minute. It actually goes back farther, because didn't we get the craft out of Magenta in Italy?
1933, yes, Thomas.
So basically, it's like 93 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been going a long time, folks.
Yeah.
You look 80 years ago, where was Russia? Well, the United States had just entered the atomic age. We had barely broken the sound barrier. No one has been into space. And that means some country secretly was developing this technology and was able to perfect it 8 decades ago. So that doesn't make sense, right? If that was the case, this would be considered the worst intelligence failure in the history of our nation, eclipsing that of even 9/11, because that means for 80 years, some country in secret has been developing this technology and, oh, by the way, has been able to deploy it over controlled U.S. airspace, over our sensitive military facilities, and there's not a darn thing we can do about it. So,
yeah, just to clarify, the Tic Tac is non-human. It's not human at all. There's a bunch of sightings we had. We had the gimbal, right? The Go Fast, and a whole bunch of other stuff that we've seen, clearly non-human technology. So just keep that in mind as Lou's talking about that.
So when you look back at this from a temporal aspect or a time aspect, it simply doesn't make sense that all all of this, what we're seeing is Russian or Chinese. It doesn't pass the smell test.
You're not the only one that said this. 2027 keeps coming up, and you just said later this year,
Here we go.
2027. Why is 2027 the year that everybody keeps throwing around? Because it doesn't seem random to me.
This is the answer I think a lot of people have been wanting to hear for a while, and there's a bunch of people have been talking about it on the next as well. Heck, we even heard it from someone here. So let's see where he takes us, folks.
Everybody seems to be saying 2027.
Yeah, I've heard 2027, and I also heard 2036. The capacity in which I heard it, I'd rather not get into. I heard it when I was working with the U.S. Space Force, but it was to me it seemed more anecdotal. So I'm probably not best suited to answer the time-wise, simply because I didn't come up with that time frame. Okay. But I heard that as well, and certainly something we need to pay attention to.
Now, we need to pay attention to it because behind the scenes, what Lou isn't saying, a bunch of people have been all talking about this, is we've got something fairly large, like planetoid size, or like an armada that's heading our way. And that's when they're actively going ahead and redirecting themselves, so they're going to reach Earth where Earth is going to be at that time frame. Because we're always moving around the center of the Milky Way galaxy, Mike. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that's interesting that he learned that at Space Force.
Yeah, it is. We know he worked with Grush there. Who knows who it came from? Space Force. There was a pretty big facility in Crystal Springs, Colorado.
Oh, it was. And they were doing a lot of clandestine work in regards to the UAP unit that he was in when he was working there.
Oh, yeah.
Which, it's interesting because it then means that the story that he heard, it gives it a certain degree of credibility, in my opinion.
Yep.
And there was a lot more that he heard that he hasn't disclosed publicly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
Story.
Well, he knows a bunch of stuff. He recognizes the restrictions that were put in play. He honors his national security oath. He's a patriot. So if things are if he can't talk about it, he ain't gonna talk about it.
Not publicly, he won't. But every time we hear the word national security, remind the audience to take a shot. Friday night.
All right, here we go. We might hear that word soon.
So, Laura Trump just came out and said there's a speech for the president to give, and he's prepared to give it at some point. Is that a speech? Do you think she's referring to a speech that that every president has had? Or is this something that is prepared for this time, do you think?
I think it's probably something prepared for this time, simply because a lot of presidents were kept in the dark on this topic for a very long time, and I don't think they took it seriously. Certainly this president, during his first term, initially when he was asked, kind of laughed it off, and then later, from my understanding, he received some briefings and then took it quite seriously afterwards. But look,
remember, after that, we got the Space Force, didn't we, Mike?
We did, and let's remind the audience that David Grush was providing presidential daily briefings to Trump on a regular basis during the first term.
Yeah, well, that may have been while David was probably at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, also known as the NGO.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
So we know he got information.
Oh, of course, yeah. And plus, I believe it was also stated by, what's his name again? Tip of my tongue. He's coming out with a book short in a little bit time this year. He was part of the head of the UAP, Jay Stratton. You can tell I'm old. I have to go down the mind hole to find it. Jay Stratton will also brief Trump, he said.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to find more about that out when his book comes out, hopefully soon.
Oh, definitely. That's going to be a good read.
Look, it's a very risky topic. Any president that makes a public statement about this topic runs a huge risk, simply because there's a lot of unknowns, and it has never really been good for one's career necessarily, or even the media, up until recently to even cover this topic, because the amount of stigma and taboo that have been associated purposefully, by the way, on this topic, on purpose. Our own government created this taboo unnecessarily to give it the flexibility to actually do research. A lot of
Yeah, Mike, but Trump is in his last term, and he doesn't care. But if he can go ahead and screw with so many people out there and fuck with the minds of the world and say something that's never been said before by a world leader, it sounds like something he'd really do, and he is. We'll see when it happens, though.
But you have to understand, if this is his last term, he wants to go down in the history books. If he moves forward with this, it would definitely do that.
Oh, that and more.
Right.
That and more. All right, here we go.
people are surprised when they find out that ATIP was actually a program in the Pentagon that was studying UFOs. That's what my colleagues and I were told to do. And you said it absolutely correct. I was never a quote-unquote believer. I went through the medical program at the University of Miami, and technically I've graduated in microbiology and immunology. So the scientific method for me is very important. Also, as an intelligence officer, you have to let the facts speak for themselves. However, with that said, there comes a point where you have so much overwhelming evidence and you have some of the most sophisticated capabilities, technologically speaking, in the intelligence community that normally can identify the difference between an F-16 and, let's say, a MiG-25 from 25 miles away. These same sensor systems are being used to collect information on things that, frankly, we don't understand, technologically speaking. These things can outperform anything we have in our inventory, and that is a national security issue, and I believe that our president has been made aware of that, and not just by the Department of War either.
Really quick, now, Mike, with what Lou's saying right now, it just comes down to the fact we've never had domain over our skies by our military. I mean, controlling over what's able to and what we want to keep out of our skies. We've never been able to have domain over our land because of that. We've never been able to have domain over the water against the non-human intelligence. Granted, we do a pretty good job of keeping the humans out, keeping the non-human intelligence out. It's no surprise because we've never had the capability, have we?
No, because they're demonstrating a new form of physics that we have no understanding of.
Right.
So how could we have superiority over that?
And likely a type of physics that's actually classified as top secret under national security.
At the very least,
yeah.
I agree.
All right, here we go.
Other elements, the FBI, the intelligence community, even the Department of Energy, that all have equity in this topic.
One of my researchers said the reason why the government is so afraid of all of this coming out is because if there is technology that we got from someplace else and it was shared with certain companies, then other companies will start suing and saying, well, I didn't get any of that. That's an unfair advantage. Do you think there's anything
we've
to
heard
that?
this one many times.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yeah, absolutely. Look, there's back, with the military-industrial complex, there's still rules and laws that have to be followed, and you have to have free and fair competition. That is how this system works. And if it turns out that maybe some general somewhere in the halls of the Pentagon gave a company an unfair advantage, you can imagine in 10 years, 20 years, company A becomes a multi-billion-dollar aerospace company where company B goes bankrupt, 200 jobs are lost, and investors, lose their investment, right? So there's Securities Exchange Commission violations. I mean, you could in theory rack up not just billions but trillions of dollars worth of liability and damages. So that is a very real issue. That is absolutely correct.
One last thing. What is you were on the podcast with me and you talked about a spiritual element of all of this. That I think you said you walked into a meeting and the scientists were talking about something spiritual and we didn't really get into it. Can you share that again?
Sure. Well, let me just say this, Glenn, if I can. I think ultimately the human experience is a spiritual experience. There's no way around it. A lot of people say that we're humans having a spiritual experience. I tend to think we're spiritual beings having a human experience. But that aside,
agree.
There were elements in the Pentagon that believed that what we were looking into were actually demons.
Oh, God. You know, Mike, this story, we'll listen to this, but this has been going on. There's been a lot of posts about this or tweets going on from insiders saying they're still getting pushback on Trump's disclosure from the bureaucrats within the Pentagon because they do think we're dealing with angels and demons.
That's the Collins elite. We covered that story on numerous occasions. And they seem to be alive and well in 2026.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Absolutely. Let's continue on. Here we go.
Mentalists that believe that this was all the work of so to speak, the devil. Now, I can't, between you and me, and I guess now everybody else, I can't necessarily fault them for thinking that, because if that is their spiritual perspective, then I can understand it. And there are elements certainly within this topic that may scare some people, but I don't
like
think
what?
that to be true.
Like, can you tell me,
Sure. Yeah, there were people in the Pentagon that believe that UFOs. They, not only did they say they were real, they actually told me to my face and my colleagues, but that we shouldn't be looking into them because they are demons. They're demonic. They are. We know exactly what they are. And again, some of these people were very, very senior in the intelligence community. Some of them were friends of mine. And although I don't agree with their perspective, look, at the end of the day, I can't prove that they're wrong either. So I respect it. I don't agree with it, but I can respect that fear that this topic brings. Because
do you have any idea why they would say something like that?
Well,
cargo cult. How do you take something? This is coming from Eric Von Daniken before Lucas do. Think of the cargo cult. We take and see things today, and we look back through our bias by things that we've learned, and how can this equate to something that's part of our culture, part of our knowing? So what we've got is people who are very religious. They see this stuff by the descriptions. They're talking about the devil. They're talking about demons. They're talking about angels. Man, this is bad stuff. You got to stay away from it. That's where this is kind of coming from. It's people's pre-existing beliefs, their belief complex, along with their bias, that makes them bring this kind of stuff in. So let's play this. Here we go.
What was told to me point blank was, Lou, have you read your Bible lately? And I said, well, I thought I was, pretty familiar with it. Why? And he said, well, then you would know, because what we're dealing with are demons and we shouldn't be looking into them. And that was the extent of that conversation I had with a senior leader in the U.S. government.
Wow.
But there were others as well who felt the same way. There's a lot of people that also can point to the Bible, and they'll talk about Ezekiel's wheel, right, as being actually an interpretation of an encounter with a UAP. So I spent some time at the Vatican, and I'll tell you, I'll share this. That was kind of interesting, and I'll make it quick. There they opened a scroll. It was a very old parchment. It was in Latin, and one of the senior academics there at the Vatican said, "Look here, read this part." And it talked about eclipus. Eclipus is a Latin word for, think of eclipse, and it was the word they were using for the Roman shields, because the Roman shields were round and lenticular. They did look, I guess, like suns. And he said, here it is. And this was a discussion between a Roman soldier and a Roman general, where they described these flaming Roman shields in the sky that would follow them from battle space to battle space. And so, this is going way back, and this is a document that's in the possession of the Vatican itself. So the Vatican has also had a deep interest in this topic. The last pope actually said, I believe, several years ago, that we should not be surprised that life exists and is abundant in the universe. That God has the ability to create as many species as he wants. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we are any less special.
Don't forget, Mike, he also said he'd be happy to baptize an alien.
That was Pope Francis, and yes, he did, Thomas. He'll baptize anybody, including aliens. Yeah?
No, it wasn't Pope Francis. It was the last one we had that just passed. It Was that Francis? No. Maybe.
Yeah, I believe it was Francis that he was the most progressive pope
Yep,
that we've
okay.
had for a long time.
Yeah, sorry.
And he said he would baptize all of them. You're correct.
Yeah, exactly. Meaning he maybe doesn't quite get what's coming from, but either way, it's a nice thought. Here, let's play the rest of this.
Quote,
yeah.
Lou, it's always fascinating.
Yeah, great call. A great conversation with Glenn Beck. I've put credits, and it's down in the description if you want to go ahead, listen to it again. Coming from his original channel, well, he's got 1.68 million subscribers, and already 66,000 people have listened to this 3 days ago. Wow.
Oh, it's Glenn Beck. What do you expect?
Oh, yeah. It's got a lot of people who like him, Mike.
I know.
Let's
That's all right. The word gets out.
Yeah. In follow-up to this, let's go to Daryl Zernick. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wonder what these guys that are believing in angels and demons, etc., blah, 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 are thinking about AI, because AI does not look very favorably on the chances of any life beyond your mortal body. So spirits and going to heaven or hell or anything, pretty much AI is a non-believer. Just a thought.
Yeah, I hear you. But you know what? It comes down to the training of the AI, though, Daryl. So if we're dealing with AI and it's got some different things, and this is what it's been taught and the proof that it's been given, it's going to give you a very sanitary view based on the information that it's been able to digest based on its parameters.
Empirical evidence.
Yeah, exactly. Great point, though. Really great point.
It'll be interesting to see.
Oh, I can't wait to see where this is all going to go. Let's get back into the studio for a second so I can get ready for our next piece. Daryl, did you get any good snow this week?
Did I get any snow? I think I did get some snow on Monday. Yeah, there's still snow on the ground. It was up to 57 today, but there's still some snow out there.
Yeah.
And it'll be back to freezing again shortly. Nice.
All right. And in our next piece, we've got here another audio clip. Maybe there's, I think it's audio on this one. I don't think, he's got a shorter clip on YouTube, but let's go ahead and play this one here first. This is an interview with the Secrets Chair, which is, she's the chairman of the National Secrets Declassification Task Force, talking about open conversations with the White House. Now, this is coming to us from one of our media partners that we subscribe to, Ask a Poll UAP. It's a great way to go ahead and get your daily dose of new press releases when he does come out. He's a great guy. Let's go ahead and let's see what Matt Laszlo was able to bring to us. Let's get back into this one. All right, here we go. I think it's going to start about here.
Yes.
How's that working? Are you talking to anyone in the White House on
Yes.
disclosure?
Yes.
How's that working?
I need your spray bottle.
Hold on.
Yeah, she's a slush fund. Is she?
Is that loud enough, folks? Because it's quiet.
We're not hearing the back. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm in the right browser.
I mean, we're hearing it very faintly.
I've got it, but I'm looking for or download MP3. Let me do that, because right now I don't have a way to go ahead and let me get to the folder from here. I don't have a volume control. So let me open this with QuickTime Player. Let's go ahead and play this again where I can... Where in the hell did QuickTime go? There it is. Okay, let's go ahead and play this. All right, folks, here we go. And I do have the audio cranked all the way up. All right, 30 seconds in about... Actually, no, that's the volume. All the way up. Let's get about 28... Here we go.
Are you talking to anyone in the White House on
Yes.
disclosure?
Yes.
How's that working?
Hold on. I'm not seeing audio for the audience. Son of a bitch.
Nope. Can't hear
Well,
it.
I mean, no, maybe. Hold on. Nope, they're not. Are you guys in the back getting it?
No.
All right, 1 second. Sorry, audience. Everything's been going too smoothly. So let me get to here. QRS QuickTime. Let me get it all the way up for there. And then I should have another one here called desktop audio. Let me see the properties on this. OBS Safari. OBS. Oh. Safari. Oh, there we go. No, that's not it. Wrong. What I'm looking for here. Hold on. That's me. OBS. Give me. We're almost there, audience. I almost got you. And OBS Safari is there. And I want to get QuickTime Player. And the volume is all the way up. Let me play this again. That's not coming from there. So let me. God, even my mic isn't coming across. Wait a minute. This can't be right. There. Okay, there's my mic. And this is going to go to properties. That's going directly to it. Let me go to this one here. Sorry, audience. I don't know what the hell happened here. Default. Great. All right, let me just create a new one here. Give me a second here. I'll get to this one, and I'm going to insert an application here called QuickTime. Here we go. And as far as the back, if you can't hear it, let me go ahead and double check the audio channel I have going for the back right now, which is Meet Audio. And I've got that. Gotta love sorry, audience, if you're leaving. I've got that there. Loopback audio.
I can start a conversation with Mike if you want for a second.
Yeah, go ahead as I'm trying to get this here.
Mike, this is just take a second, but you remember when in Australia, the UFO landed in the backyard of some school? And there was a kid, and they asked, obviously, there were a bunch of kids that saw this UFO.
Right.
And she said that she felt like what they were telling everybody, or at least her, was that too much technology is bad.
Okay.
I think that's where we're at with ODBS, man. I think you need to go right back to.
Wait, is it coming through my
before ODBS or whatever it is.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties that are beyond my control, because apparently I'm trying to play this. Is this it's in QuickTime Player. Well, you know what? Let's skip past, I guess. Let's go ahead and skip past this, but then we just want to go ahead. All right. Let me just work through this.
Disclosure.
Yes.
How's that look?
Yes, it's a slush fund. Is she maybe not?
And that has the snow melted, Mike.
The audio is crappy, so you're not going to be able to hear anything on this.
You can hear something in the background.
All right.
Way in the background.
Forget Luna. Sorry about that, folks. Let me go ahead and stop that, because for some reason it's not coming across, and we'll deal with Anaplina Luna again shortly later. But this should just be coming across. It's say something, guys. Daryl.
Hello. Needing some NHI tech support?
Guests.
Call Thomas
Advanced
Fessler.
Auto Properties. Now, I just want to see this really quick. Properties. You're going OBS composite audio. And that's what I've got for bringing your audio in. And I just want to go ahead and... did I shut that down? Son of a bitch. Last thing. OBS composite audio. Come on. I'm in. Composite audio. Okay, you've got that one. And if I go to QuickTime Player... All right, we'll deal with this in a bit. I've got your audio coming in. I just added this to there. Let's just go ahead and move on. I've got a bunch of stuff for us to go ahead and cover. One of the first stories I want to go ahead and get to today that's on our list of things to get to. It's not here. Trump orders. No, let's go ahead and get back to my bookmarks on this, folks. Oh, God. One of those days.
Friday's in full effect.
Oh, it is. It is, Mike, like you wouldn't believe. Like you wouldn't believe. I have no idea. I'm just going to go ahead and take it with a grain of salt and figure out, it's Fuck You Friday like I called it earlier. All right, let's get to this next one we've got. If I want to get to one of the first stories coming back from February 23rd, my bookmarks, one of the stuff that we did not cover here. I just have to look for that sunset shot that's there, 24th. There we go. There's the Glenn Beck. We've got that one there. All right. One of the first stories I want to get to here today, Mike, is this is something I did not expect. Let's get to this one here and bring it up. Desktop Thomas. All right. So we've got a story here coming from Science American talking about SETI, which is the secret, is it? Here we go. The search for extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
No, this is not it. Okay, so one of the articles, this isn't it, that I read about SETI that's coming out, Mike, they're actually against disclosure at this point for the main reason that they're afraid that if they bring disclosure out and it comes out, that their funding is going to be reduced and potentially cut. So on those lines, they feel that President Trump is, if you want to call it, following a red herring, and he should deflect and go off in a different direction.
Because they don't want to lose their funding. It sounds a little petty to me, but yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, biggest reveal in our entire life, but let's worry about
Our paychecks.
yeah.
Oh God, yeah. So here we've got a story. As I said, we're going to be updating what's coming from Washington, D.C. I've got a clip here coming from Representative Crenshaw. You know, the pirate guy?
Yeah.
From the House of Representatives. Yeah. Not a positive speech about disclosure. It sounds like he's talking, from an area that he doesn't know anything about. But he comes across sounding like, for those who are in the know, let's hope I can play this audio and people can hear it. They heard it before.
There's a lot of people in this space, in this extraterrestrial space, who claim they have evidence. And I recall back in 2022, these famous hearings, you had the two pilots who had seen this stuff, and I think these are very credible witnesses. And you had another guy who said he had worked on the program and had classified material that he was going to give to the Inspector General. I thought I remember him saying he was giving it to the Intelligence Committee, on which I say, and I remember thinking to myself, "You've never given us anything.
Huh.
Where's the classified documents?" He said, "Yeah, you've never given us anything." So, people should know that. I think some of these folks are just not telling the truth.
Well, I think what he forgets about, Mike, is that all this information that David Grush has, he doesn't have it. It's highly classified, and he's been trying to work with partners in Congress to get it out, but to no avail. Either they haven't been looking, they haven't been trying hard enough, or they've been looking in the wrong place.
They also didn't have at the time, and he was, to get the record straight for Representative Mike Crenshaw, he's talking about the hearing that took place on July 26, 2023, not 2022. So his dates are off. And as far as that information, Grush was clear when he testified under oath. He can only discuss with any members of Congress this information if they possess not only the appropriate clearances, but a need to know as well. And I believe back then the issue was they didn't have need to know.
No, they didn't.
He couldn't go beyond that. Right.
Yeah.
So Crenshaw's leaving that off the table, but I think it's a key piece of information.
It sounds like he's talking about something, put a negative spin on it. Maybe that's what his funders want him to take, or it's just something he hasn't looked into. He's heard something about it, but he's never done an in-depth look into it. It's sad to see someone from a position of influence going ahead but Mike, they're politicians. They always talk about stuff whether they know anything about it or not.
Right. And it sounds like he doesn't really know what he's talking about. But what concerns me about the statement he made is he then followed up and said that he feels that if they can't provide any evidence or documentation, then they're obviously liars, which we know was not the case with David Grush. And it only had to do with the clearance levels that they did not possess. So his information is skewed, to say the least.
Yeah. Now, we do have two hands in the backup. We have Syrup and then Daryl. Go ahead, Syrup.
I'm not sure if Mike covered that just now, but correct me if I'm wrong. I read somewhere that guy wasn't even in the position he's in now at the time David Grush gave that information, right?
That very well could be the case.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think I read that somewhere. So, yeah, that guy, like you said, he's awesome.
Well, Todd T in the audience says he's only seen half of it.
I think he's the same guy, too, just to add to what Syrup was saying, that it was in one of those congressional hearings. I remember this congressman coming in and just asking, I believe it was just one question. And the one question was, he asked somebody, I don't know if it was on the panel or the chairman, what is the penalty for not telling the truth about UFOs? In other words, can you just make it bullshit and get away with it? Is basically what he was inferring, because there is no penalty for that.
Right. That is true. That is true, Daryl. Absolutely. Now, our next clip, we've got a clip here coming from Senator Kennedy. If you remember back when we had the UFO incursion going on, where we shot down 3 different UFOs, he came out of a briefing and he said, "Lock your doors." Actually, the cow was out of the barn. Go home and lock your doors. Meaning, whatever happened, we're now aware of it, and it's not safe out there. Go home and take care of your family. Lock the doors.
Yeah. We covered that when he said it. That was a bold statement.
All right. So we've got a little 46-second clip. Let's go ahead and bring this one up here.
Let's play that.
All right. Here we go.
You mentioned, you heard me talk with Burchett about UFOs. You know, we've seen many interview clips of you out of this world. People love hearing Senator Kennedy give it to him straight. Okay. So what's going on? These UFOs?
I have absolutely no idea.
Do you have a security clearance?
And
you know,
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Okay. I'm not even sure that everything we know has been communicated to our presidents. It's not. I mean, if you completely trust government, you failed history class.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think there are people within government, I don't know whether it's the CIA or whomever, but I think they have information that has not been shared with the rest of us.
Yeah.
So in other words, as Tim Burchett would always say out, Mikey, it's a cover-up.
It's a cover-up. That's right. Now I remember why I liked Kennedy.
Oh, yeah.
He tells it just like it is. Doesn't pull his punches.
Oh,
I wish
absolutely.
he would explain who they is.
CIA. He named them. He called them out. It is the CIA. He's right. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
They're the ones that have been controlling this for the longest amount of time. They were the ones that contracted Lockheed Martin to do the reverse engineering of the materials that they've been in possession of. And then back in 2008, tried to transfer over to Bob Bigelow and OSAP program, but that failed because of the CIA. Glenn Gaffney.
Wasn't the CIA, though, created right after the Roswell incident when they created the CIA and the U.S. Air Force?
National Security Act and the U.S. Air Force.
Yeah.
And the Secretary of Defense, James Forrestal, who took a plunge out of the 12th story window in his psychiatric hospital. They had him locked in the psych ward. So, and his family was petitioning to get their personal psychiatrist to examine him, and they wouldn't let him. So, very suspicious circumstances. Yeah, it was all around 1947, Thomas. You're right.
Yeah, I got a clip here.
CIA run by, what's his name now? The guy that was the DNI director from the first Trump administration?
John Ratcliffe? Yeah, John Ratcliffe was the head of the CIA. I mean, the head of the, he was the director of national intelligence during the first Trump administration.
Now he's the CIA guy, right?
And he hasn't said anything about what he had talked about right after he was out of office, saying we tried to bring out disclosure. We were rushed. We didn't have enough time. We can see them in space. We can see them from our satellites. We can see them from our technology. They're everywhere.
Yeah. But doesn't that bode well then, based on what he was just saying? They haven't given it to us. If he's referring to the CIA, wouldn't that mean now is a better opportunity? I would assume.
You would assume.
By Trump.
You would think, Darryl, that it would be an open door policy at this point, especially with the statements that he's made in the past.
I guess to press him. I mean,
like Thomas just said, we haven't heard anything coming out of CIA.
Frickin' crickets.
I'm liking the press that I was criticizing. At least there's been 3 people that have been pressing people on what's happening, what's the next steps, let's maybe start pressing the CIA guy. Hey, what does the CIA know? When does your disclosure come out? Are you,
we're going to need that executive order to make it happen. Really.
Right. He needs to hear from the president, or we're not going to hear shit from anybody unless the president is pushing them and authorizing them to discuss it publicly, which we haven't heard that yet. It hasn't happened yet.
Again,
it does.
Again, it's been crickets, crickets, crickets.
Right.
All right, our next one on a post coming over on X from Josh Anderson, also known as Red Panda. He's got a clip here from Dan Bongino, who inadvertently revealed FBI Director Kash Patel was in Milan for a briefing on drones and UAP. This is an interesting piece. Let's get to it. All right, here we go.
The Summer Olympics are coming up in this place called Los Angeles. It's in the United States. You may have heard of it. So the FBI has a significant footprint in the security planning. So for him to go over there and take a look at what's going on in Milan, what they're doing about drones, UAPs, and other things, I've only had about 15 meetings on this myself, and then he goes to a game at the end, and they invite him in a locker room, and he pops a brewski. You know, keep crying, man, whatever. Tell your story walking. Doesn't bother me. I don't give a damn. I let him have a good time with the team.
So, Mike, he didn't say drones and UAS, which would mean a drone. He literally said UAP.
It could have been a slip of the tongue, Thomas.
Oh, yeah. People in the government seem to do that a lot. We had the head of the Army at one time, you know, saying we have people stationed on the moon.
Oh, God. Yeah, we covered that. It was.
Oh, yeah. It's out there. It's part of it. All right, we've got another one coming from Senator Mike Rounds, dropping some truth bombs about UFOs and other stuff. So let's get into this one. Let's play this clip of Senator Rounds. Again, a bunch of stuff happening in D.C. that we're covering here because, folks, if we're going to get disclosure, it's going to be coming out of Washington, D.C. It's going to be coming out of the president. The House and Senate, not much so likely, but it's the president who has to sign this mysterious, if you want to call it, executive order that's never materialized.
Right.
All right, here we go.
Talk about this. I told you this last time we were speaking. Everybody loves when you talk about UAPs. You know, you were brought up, I was telling you, you were brought up on Joe Rogan a lot about this. You talk about projects, Let me just zoom in a little bit larger. I told you this last time we were speaking. You were brought up on Joe Rogan a lot about this. You talk about projects you still want to do or work you still have yet to complete. On the UAP front, should you return to the Senate for another 6 years, what do you hope to accomplish there?
We want transparency for the American public. Look, there are certain phenomena that we simply can't explain. What we do know is that there are objects that are out there that have been caught on film by reputable, real members of the armed forces of the United States that we don't know the answer to what they are or where they come from. Now, we're hoping that these objects might be something that are so secret that most of us, even on the Intel Committee, don't know about. They might be our products. Second piece might be, and this is the scarier part, some of those might belong to some of our adversaries, such as China. That would be a really bad thing for the United States. The third option is something outside of it that we don't know about. But it may very well be an item that we simply don't understand today. But we should be honest with the American people and to tell them, look, this may very well be something in our Department of Defense or within our intelligence agencies that simply exists, but that we're not at liberty to discuss. Sometimes, back years ago, a number of the items that now we take for granted, such as the B-2 stealth bomber, the new B-21, those are based upon platforms that were developed undercover, basically allowing people to think that they might be unidentified flying objects, but actually they were our own technologists actually creating the stealth programs that we're familiar with today.
I can still imagine, though, you sit on the Senate Intel Committee, you're on Armed Services. That's just some of the testimony you've been given has been pretty mind-blowing.
I can share with you that the only folks that we actually sit down and talk with, me personally, are people that have firsthand knowledge of either a program or that have personal firsthand knowledge of actually seeing something or touching something that to them was not explainable. And there is something to this. I just simply don't know what it is. And to tell the American people that we do know what it is just simply wouldn't be truthful. And so as we move along, I just simply want to make sure that the transparency is available so that we don't have folks out there actually trying to find things and disclose things that might very well be our own products that it's simply not time to disclose yet.
talk about this.
And a lot of times in the past, Mike Rounds has said that's what we're dealing with. It's a mistaken identity, meaning we're seeing things, we're thinking they're UAP, when there actually are secret programs in disguise for that matter.
Right, because we already know, you and I, some of what the government has under wraps is our technology, and some of it is not.
Right.
So
there's a mix between it. Let's hope if they try to do, I hope not, UAP Disclosure Act version 4.0 as a single piece of legislation to bring it out, and they're trying to get it there. Let's hope people like Senator Rounds or Senator Schumer or other people who are a part of this, even, God, we even have, Pencil Neck out of California. What's his name again?
Shifty
Shift, yes. He was the one who gave us the first UAPTF hearing, so he's a staunch supporter of this, right? So if we have these people in the Senate on both sides of the fence, they need to come together as a group and be vocal on the floor and be vocal to the public about getting this kind of stuff passed. Otherwise, just introducing something, making a little statement here or there, shit's not going to happen.
It certainly won't. They need to make some real big headway, but they're not going to do that because they are waiting to hear from the top down. If the president doesn't push this forward, it's not going to happen on its own from any branch of the government.
Glad you're with us.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Now, looking back, Mike, a little bit more, we've got there's a bunch of videos more than I realized here. How about that? We've got Alex Dietrich, who is the one of the pilots from the Tic Tac incident, talking on CBS News, The Takeout.
She was the wingman of Commander David Fravor, who was the skipper of the Black Aces fighter squadron aboard the Nimitz aircraft carrier in 04. Yeah, interesting.
Just to be safe, because this is from CBS, I'm throwing the fair use banner on. The only one I had to worry about tonight. It's because it's CBS. Let's get to this next one. And wait, that's not it. Hold on. You guessed. All right, let's go to this one and get into this statement. And let's see where Alex Dietrich takes us in this couple-minute clip. Here we go, folks. We'll pause where necessary and talk about it when we're done. Here we go.
Alex Dietrich, who was also on that mission, saw the apparent UAP, UFO, and joins us now. Alex, I'm very glad you're with us. Explain to my audience the importance of what you saw and what you believe the government already knows in this space.
Thanks for having me. And first I'll say that there were 2 pilots and 2 WIZOs. So we had 4 folks who saw it visually, and it was tracked on multiple sensors by other witnesses in that encounter. And we saw something that we couldn't identify in 2004, something that appeared to violate what we understood about physics and aerodynamics in that moment. And we reported it through our chain of command. So I'm not in the business of sensationalizing it, but I am in the business of being accurate. What does that mean for us right now? I think that transparency is the right instinct. But what I hope that people understand is that releasing files is a process and not a revelation. It took over a decade for our Tic Tac video to become public. And what gets released, what gets declassified, and what those documents actually say are all very different questions. So I would encourage people to be patient and to keep their expectations managed.
Let me ask you this, because few people are more aware of the laws of physics than pilots. When you say the thing you observed and the others observed, the 4 of you, defied what you understood about the laws of physics, what exactly do you mean?
Interesting. Let's see where this goes.
So we spent a lot of time practicing our maneuvers, using our time practice in the cockpit to really understand the way that our aircraft are moving and how to optimize that in order to get an advantage. We want to get a shot off. We want to make sure that we're defending ourselves against adversaries in those encounters. And so we practice, we calibrate our eyeballs in order to be able to recognize those moments. And when we encountered this strange thing on November 14th, 2004. It defied the laws of physics. We weren't sure what we were looking at or how it was doing what it was doing.
There we go. A short clip on there, Mike. Talking about, the Tic Tac defying physics. Yeah, because they dropped down from 60,000 feet down to 50 feet, down to 50 feet off the surface of the water in less than a second, traveling at speeds in greater than 56,000 miles per hour without cracking the sound barrier, without turning into a fireball, because these craft are, if you want to call it, surrounded by a gravitational warp field that allows them to move not in our atmosphere like a bird or a plane would, but through it where reality wraps our dimension around the craft.
Exactly. So it's new physics, new technology. It's things that we don't have on our own and couldn't defend against then or now. Nothing has changed.
No, it hasn't. But it's always great to see people from that time frame coming forward and talking about it. Oh, where are we going on to next here? You've already covered that one. All right. That's not the real. Oh, we've got Burchett. I'll be getting to him shortly. We've got the UAP hearing with that. We've got, all right. We got Tim Burchett talking on the Benny Show from earlier this week, where he talks about UFO videos and videos that he's seen and photos, talking about he's been a big proponent going ahead and talking about things that are coming from underneath the ocean. He's seen some evidence and he wants this stuff to come out for everyone to understand what we're really dealing with. So on that note, let's go ahead and get to this next video clip here. Hope you guys enjoy this out there. If you're having a good time, enjoy the curation of stories we bring together, the videos we go ahead and track down, the stories and everything. If you're having a good time, do us a favor, folks. Give us a thumbs up. And more importantly, if you haven't subscribed yet, we're an hour into the show. We'd love to have you as a regular here on Disclosure Tonight. And if you could, give us a subscribe, we'd love to have you here as a regular on the show. So let's get to this next clip coming from Tim Burchett. Here we go.
The classic UFO is the saucer shaped and there's something on top. And I've never seen anything. I've not seen any. Well, I take that back. I've seen things, but that's since I've been in Congress and I'm not allowed to discuss this. I would just hope that the president would disclose everything that I've seen in every skiff I've been in every confidential conversation, every picture I've seen, every video I've seen. I wish that he would release all those.
Would that change the world? I mean, would that change people?
No, I don't think so. I think we just realize that we're one grain of sand in 100 million beaches. And I mean, if you think we're the best that God can do, I think you greatly underestimate God.
So Tim has seen a lot, but Mike, he's kept his mouth shut. He hasn't talked about it really.
Or leaked anything, like is usually the case with other members of Congress.
Exactly.
So he's an honest man, yeah.
Yeah, he is, and he wants the truth to come out. He wants the president to go ahead and give us an executive order to let this stuff out. We deserve it.
Because he knows that the only one, after 93 years, the only way we're going to get actual disclosure, it's going to be out of the White House.
Yeah.
Not any other member of the government.
It's untouchable by the legislative branch, which includes the House of Representatives and the Senate. Let's be honest. Right. It may even be really untouchable by the president, but the president is going to be the only chance we're going to get in the United States, like Trump, to go ahead and actually make this happen. Otherwise, we're really going to be ending up with a foreign power like Russia or China, probably China more than Russia, to come out and make the statement. And not only will they make the statement, they'll give us undeniable proof.
Right. Which would definitely put the United States at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
If they did that.
Because doesn't communism reject religion?
Yes.
So that would be a perfect way to go ahead and prove their communist ways, to say, hey, look at this. There is no God. These are the things that have been going on. This is what's happening. Here's the proof of it. This is what we've been mistaking it on. And not only could it be information to come out, but if you want to call it information that could really screw with the minds of the Western world.
Right. And give them a leg up at that point. So why wouldn't they do it?
Oh, come on. They've got a leg up in electric cars and manufacturing and electronics, in battery production, in space, in everything. They are just, we're having to play catch up. And while our government and a lot of people don't want to admit it, all you have to do is open your eyes to see what China's producing and where they're at. I mean, look at California. They got all those billions of dollars to go ahead and build a high-speed train. What they got, a couple 100 feet of it at most. And it's done. And well, China has high-speed rail going all over the country, and it's just flawless. Granted, they're spending a lot of money on it, but they're investing in their infrastructure, where the United States has been investing in wars for a long time. Oh, silence on that one. All right, let's get to our next one here. Let's see where we're going to go next. No. I'm not going to do Stephen Greer.
No. Please don't.
No, we got that one. All right. Oh, this is just priceless. I'm looking for the one video I've got here of it being pulled in. Artemis, as you know, Mike, is stalled.
Yes.
They're taking it and putting it back in the building where they put it all together again.
Right.
They can't figure it out. So here we got an interesting video of Artemis being put away, and what's driving right alongside of it? A Cybertruck.
Nice.
As they go ahead and they have to take it back in because they have more leaks that they can't figure out, and it's not safe. It's a sad situation, to say the least. Yes, it is a junk pile. It's made from the main boosters they have on this stuff. It's the rocket engines are left over from the frickin' space shuttle program. What is that? 40 years old, probably technology at this point.
50.
Yeah. It's crazy. And we're trying to put our future of our on the moon based on this technology. But look what Elon's doing over in Texas with Starship. I know we're trying to get there, and they're saying, they're actually cutting back on Elon's involvement within the Artemis program for doing some of the stuff, because only one contractor is only supposed to get up to 50% of the work that's available, right? So they're cutting back on how much they're giving to SpaceX because they want to give it to other companies like United Launch Alliance, ULA, which has technology that's right over there that's not working. They want to give it to Jeff Bezos' company as well to try and get it, which doesn't have anything, which means if they're on a tight deadline to get to the moon by 2028, they better start moving now. Otherwise, at what they're doing right now, it's never going to make it.
Not a snowball's chance in hell.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, I know. It's where the United... Hey, it's not as bad as the Russian space program right now. Last time they put a rocket up, they actually blew up their launch pad, so they're totally screwed. And who's the only craft right now that can deliver a cargo? What's the only company that can deliver a cargo to the space station? SpaceX. What's the only platform that can deliver astronauts to the space station?
Oh, SpaceX.
And it's not their fault. Boeing's technology sucked. It didn't work.
Those astronauts up there for almost a year. Terrible.
Yeah. For political reasons.
Yeah. Right. It's always about the money.
Oh, God, yeah.
Elon could help the Artemis program in a big way if they let him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, coming at it from the opposite side of the fence, we've got someone by the name of Sagar warns Trump the UFOs could be a psyop.
We have had...
coming to us from Breaking Points. Let's go ahead and play this clip. I think Breaking Points is a part of, something else. My mind's not there tonight. So let's go ahead and play this clip. And is it a psyop or not? Let's see what he has to say, and let's see what the audience thinks. Here we go, folks.
declassification efforts now for years. We have had pieces of legislation that have passed the United States Senate. We've had Marco Rubio whenever he was in the U.S. Senate, to Kirsten Gillibrand, to Senator Chuck Schumer, all the way going back to Harry Reid. There have been multiple congressional riders for disclosure. The Pentagon had an entire office, which was basically a cover-up office, where they released all of these files saying we have no evidence. So I just want to make sure everybody has their expectations calibrated. It's not going to be so simple. It's not going to just be clear cut the way that most things currently.
Bingo, bingo, bongo. For all the people like Nick who are really overly excited, saying, I can't believe where this is going to go, take a note of what he's saying, because it echoes exactly what we've been saying. Right, Mike?
Exactly. The whole time.
Yeah. Here we go.
Don't get your expectations up.
Something could happen. Celebrate once it does. Yeah, he's a cuck too, but either way, he's actually talking from a good point. Here we go.
Currently operate inside the government are that they are vastly compartmentalized, privatized through defense contracting companies, so that way that they're not have to comply with congressional disclosure or congressional authorization, investigation, and there's a lot of other departments that are involved. So I want to shout out Ross Douthat, who's a believer like myself. Let's put this up here on the screen. He says 4 big UFO questions for the White House. And what he talks about specifically is, first, does the United States military possess more classified aerial footage like the videos from the U.S. Navy jets that the New York Times published in 2017? That's a very easy one. By the way, there are multiple videos that have.
Do they have videos, Mikey?
Oh my God, do they have videos?
Yeah.
Tons of videos. They won't release them, but yes, they have a lot of videos that would really, I think, get the public's attention in a big way if they were declassified.
I mean, Lou's talked about, we bring this up all the time about that video that's in high definition. It's so clear you can see the occupancy of the craft, meaning you can see that there's beings within the craft.
Within the craft itself.
Yeah.
You could see their 100-year-old gray wrinkled butts through the porthole windows if you look close enough. Yeah.
Not exactly what he said, but close enough. Let's play some more. Here we go.
Have been talked about now for years. Do they actually exist? And when I say talked about, I'm talking about former CIA directors, former government officials, like people with high levels of security clearance saying, I've seen it, and yet it's never come out. So that's one. Second, why has the national security state produced a steady supply of, quote, would-be whistleblowers who claim to have encountered hidden legacy programs and contact with non-human intelligence? Are they liars or are they not? That's a great question. We can actually have some scrutiny. Remember David Grush, who came out publicly, and even though he was able to testify, nothing really happened as a result of that. Third, why have prominent U.S. senators, led by Chuck Schumer and South Dakota Republican Mike Rounds, repeatedly behaved and sometimes spoken as if they believe the national security state is concealing information related to the subject from election officials? And fourth, is there any truth to the claims that the government agencies are in contact with, quote, self-described UFOs? I think that those are the most important questions exactly that he raises, but it raises the danger. And in some cases, it's almost dangerous to say that this is going to be it. I've directed declassification. You had Tulsi Gabbard who came out yesterday and she's like, yep, we're going to declassify all the files. And you're like, well, are you which files? How much of this is like, do you even have access? That's the major question. Pete Hegseth, he's like joking about the subject yesterday. He was asked by a reporter, Kirsten Fisher, and he's like, well, I don't know. We'll find out. I don't think any of these people have any real interest. And part of the danger is that this is basically like a meme that you put out there for everybody to get like really, really excited, kind of like with Epstein, JFK, MLK, all that stuff that previously happened. Yeah. Are you actually going to take any of this stuff seriously? Because, I mean, look, you may have the power.
Quickly for the audience, yes, I saw the internet go down for a second and popped right up, so there may have been a second or so interruption. Everything reset itself. I didn't see any errors coming out of OBS, but it should have continued for you guys. So let's play the rest of this. Here we go.
In theory, multiple presidents and public officials have tried. They've been stonewalled at every aspect. I think you would need someone to actually dedicate fully their attention. Yeah. And I'm very trepidatious about this entire thing.
Interesting thoughts, Mike. We've got the information. No president or anyone's been able to bring it out. But, Mikey, do you think Trump is going to have that in him? I think he's ornery enough if he has the passion to get past it.
Well, we talked about this earlier. He, through his first and now his last term, has been desperate to make his name in the history books once and for all. If he came forward with disclosure, it would guarantee it. He'd be immortal.
Yeah.
So I think he should do it. He's got the motivation to do it.
I think we'd hope so, my friend. I think we would hope so. So, yeah, we actually, for the audience talking about this, we actually broadcast at 1080p, but a very high resolution, a very high bit rate. So even if you're on 4K, the quality actually looks really good without having to get there. It just gives us a shorter time. So when I'm talking, it's almost instantaneous within a second or two that you guys are seeing it live. And there's some paybacks on it, but I love seeing live feedback when we're dealing with the show. Now, our next clip, we've got James Fox coming from Redacted saying that the Task Force on Declassification of Secrets is crafting language for an executive order. Let's go ahead and see what James has to say on this one. Here we go, folks. Hold on. Let me get this clip here. Let's play it.
There's going to be a press conference coming up soon with sitting members of Congress, part of the task force from both parties, Democrats and Republicans, and they are in the process right now of crafting the language that needs to come out of the office of the President of the United States. And that language will provided President Trump is willing to use that language, that will provide additional security, protection, immunity for the following whistleblowers. There's going to be a press conference coming up soon with sitting members of Congress, part of the task force from both parties, Democrats and Republicans, and they are in the process right now of crafting the language that needs to come out of the office of the President of the United States. And that language will provided President Trump is willing to use that language, that will provide additional security, protection, immunity for the following whistleblowers. There's going to be a press conference coming up soon with sitting members of
So there we go, Mike. There's a press conference coming up. They're going to try and push Trump to go ahead and give us, if you want to call it, protections for whistleblowers. That'll be like Dr. Eric Davis, potentially, and others, even Lou Elizondo, David Grush, and other people who are all, they can't talk about this stuff. Even James Lukatsky, the former head of the OSAP program. And so this is someone who supposedly touched and got inside a recovered craft.
He did. He discussed that on the Weaponized podcast with George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. So we know he got into the craft itself. So he would have a lot to say.
And if he was brought in front of Congress without any of these particular whistleblower protections, he would lie.
He said that to Knapp and Corbell as well.
Yeah.
He could legally lie under oath, and he would if they asked him anything.
Because otherwise, the execution clause that's there, meaning they'll take you out for going ahead and breaking this level of national security. What is it called? A Q clearance, I believe, from the Department of Energy?
Yes, Q clearance, correct.
Yeah. Interesting times, to say the least. Let's get out of this post. Let's see what I've got next. No, we've got that. We've talked about that. Don't need that one. All right. I've got some interesting videos of UFOs that are supposedly coming out of entering and leaving Mount Etna in Italy. Now, let's go ahead and take a deep look at these. The first one we got here is a little 14-second looping clip. We've got one craft coming out, moving on an angle. We'll be getting another one here. There's another one coming out on an angle. And then we're going to go back to the start of the loop. And we've got another one coming on an angle. Do you know what I recognize on all these, Mike? All of these are moving on the exact same trajectory, which probably means we're looking at something more that is more likely a satellite than it actually is a potential UFO. No, I've got another one here that actually may kill the audio on this one. This is El Popo, the volcano in Mexico, and there's a camera they've got going where they've got a bunch of craft moving along, more satellites and things moving along, but I think they've got one here where it actually comes in again. All we're seeing is satellites. There's nothing going on in these videos that really looks like it's a UFO coming over and diving right into the UFO. What we're kind of seeing here, Mike, as usual, is people taking and mistaking things that they're seeing of actual volcanoes and satellites in the distance, right, and call it as a UAP or a UFO for that matter.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a UFO to me.
Yeah. We've got this one from the Daily Mail. This one looks different. This one more looks like one of your traditional cigar ships moving along. It's just moving across. We've got another picture of one, nothing else there. We've got another one, potentially a flying saucer that's hovering over a volcano, and another one where there's just objects moving in the sky. There's no smoking gun on this. Here we go. This is the interesting one. All right, here we go. This is the one I was looking for. This one's different. This one moves along, comes in, and zooms in. While potentially it could be a drone, that would someone be taking a drone and putting it on a suicide mission, taking it into the rim of an active volcano. Your thoughts?
It's odd that if it was a suicide mission, it would have dove right into the heart of the volcano.
Right. It goes around, comes back, and then...
Yeah.
Yeah. And the movement reminds me, it's not that tic-tac, up, down, left, right movement, but it reminds me of that movement that we've seen in the video we have of the UAP that are operating in, Malta, where they're actually coming and interacting with our planes and moving at between 11 and 14,000 miles per hour, while our craft are moving at 450 miles an hour and diving in and coming within 50 to 70 feet of the front of the craft.
Right.
And I believe it's the only video out there that actually shows that, Mike.
It's the oddest thing, that video that we're looking at.
Yeah. To say the least. So let's go to our next one where we got to get out of this post, out of that post and everything. Gee, I went 3 layers deep. Thought this was an audio clip here. No, this isn't it from Defense Scoop. This is just a story. All right, so let me just go ahead and share this one. This is just an image we have out there. Let's bring this one for the audience to go ahead and see it. We have Artemis back in. Let me turn off the chat for a second so the audience can see this. Back in the hangar. They're trying to figure out what's going wrong with it. They've got leaks going on. They had to take it off the launch pad, bring it back in. They've brought it back in the facility, and now they just have to go ahead and figure out what the hell was wrong with it. Mike, I don't think this is going to be something that's going to be quick and easy to fix. It reminds me of the same situation we're dealing with, unfortunately, with Starliner.
Right. And now NASA said there's a deadline. They have until 2028, roughly less than 2 years from today, to get a man on the moon again.
Yeah, good luck on that one.
Oh, good luck is right.
Because NASA is like, we've got one thing, we're going to do it, we're going to go really slow, and if things go wrong, we're either going to let it go or we'll pull it back in and fix it, where Elon Musk and SpaceX is let's launch, blow it up, and learn from it, launch, blow it up, learn from it until we figure out the science, because on this approach, Mike, they will never have the ability to figure out the science in a way that when they're actually putting it up and it's not going to work right. It's going to cost 10 times more, and it's going to be, a heck of a lot more dangerous.
Yeah. But if they let Elon do it with SpaceX, we would be ahead of schedule getting people back up to the moon.
Yeah.
Can I interject there for a second?
Go for it, Daryl.
So the big difference between Elon and NASA running this show is you are seeing in front of you like 20 different manufacturers. There's somebody that makes the upper module, somebody different makes the second module, somebody else makes the engines. 85% of a SpaceX whatever is made by SpaceX. That's the big difference between SpaceX and NASA.
It's a single provider putting it all together, designing it, figuring out what's going on from their engineering staff, quickly iterating as fast as they can without the FAA getting in their way to try and get this. And they're thinking that the next launch, the way they've got the Starship configured, there's no more tests, no more missing tiles, no more missing fins or anything. They're launching it up, but Elon wants to have 2 successful, complete launches and landing into the water where nothing goes wrong before he's going to attempt to go ahead and start grabbing the rocket as it comes back down again.
That's what you do, man. You got to get it right before you put people inside.
Oh, exactly. Where here, we're going to keep on getting right. Oh, there's a problem. Oh, there's a leak. Oh, it's good enough. Let's try and do it. Oh, it's too much. Let's bring it back. Let's figuring it out. Look at the problem we had on Starlighter, and what a mess. That craft should never have flown, but they were pressured to fly, for it to fly for political reasons, or, corporate reasons more than it was a good reason for safety, because those astronauts were never safe in that capsule.
Which is why they got stuck up there for almost a year.
Yeah. And they could have brought him back. Elon Musk could have launched a rocket, brought him back sooner, but it wasn't a good look for Biden, so he didn't approve it.
Right. Dang. Unfortunately.
Yeah, doubly unfortunately. Oh, let's skip this one. All right. Okay, we've got a video here that's showing a crystal clear UAP footage that was captured by Antonio Urzi on April 29th, 2007, over Milan, Italy. I know this is an old one, but sometimes you have to look back for the goodies on this one. Let's go ahead and see what they're talking about here. I'll turn off the audio. So here's what he was recording. He's trying to zoom in. This is an old camera that was there at that time, and this is the same craft that they saw in the past. And actually, there is, although it's low resolution, there's actually some pretty good. Let me get Pixie out here.
There's good definition to this object, from what I could see in the low res.
Oh, I know. Let's go ahead and bring this up here and take a look at it. So yeah, you can see there's actually shapes on the structure of the planet. And you know what, Mike? It's not overly compressed, although it's an older video. It's not cleaned up with AI, and it's pretty clear.
It's exactly like what we've seen out there before. The shape, the tin pan plate on the bottom. It's got a lot of details to it.
Yeah, let's bring this up again. You're actually seeing it pretty well good. Wow. This almost reminds me of the craft that Mario Ruscio had seen down in Texas. That definite circle in the bottom where they pull the people up. If you got the perfect shape and everything going on the top. Wow. This definitely needs to get stabilized.
Pull up Pixie.
Well, I've got I don't need to. Pixie can't stabilize. This is his actual video that zoomed in at the time, and this isn't AI. This is a video that goes all the way back to 2007, and it's been on the record since then. So we could blame this on AI, Mike, but really, this is a video that has dated itself pretty well.
Can we hear the audio?
What was that?
Can we hear the audio?
No, I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Oh, there's. Oh, it's just a foreign.
It's in Italy, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I knew I'd captured this one for a good reason. Yeah, it's just interesting stuff to go ahead and find. When you're trying to look on X, you always have to go and realize that AI is a complete mess at this point for what they're trying to bring forward.
The AI slop that is all over social media, it's a disgrace.
Oh, I know. And somehow I just lost my place where I was just at. All right. All right. I've got the clip here. This is the one I was looking for. Let's go ahead and play this one. This is actually Artemis coming back into the station. Zoom this down a little bit. Let me make sure I'm into this one here. I want to get it so everybody can kind of see this. All right. Here we go. So here it comes in. We can see it off in the distance. Come on. Here it comes down the path. It's at nighttime. They're actually bringing it in, trying to get it into play. There we go, as it comes in and getting it back in the facility where it needs to go, and it's all the way into place. And eventually, perhaps, maybe some of these gantries will go ahead and move in so they can get inside and figure out what's going wrong to go ahead and fix this poor rocket that doesn't want to launch. All right, so let's get back to this next one here. Let's see what we've got next for our audience. Mike.
Yeah.
I've got to bring it up. We know Trump's bringing disclosure. He made a statement today. I'm just like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Right.
Oh, audience, you're going to love this one. Let me get these pictures of Lou out of the way here. Oh my God, this is an interesting one to say the absolute least. You'll never realize where it's going to go. I was shocked on this one.
The Cuban government is talking with us, and they're in a big deal of trouble, as you know. They have no money, they have no anything right now, but they're talking with us. And maybe we'll have a friendly takeover of Cuba.
Did you hear that? Maybe we'll have a friendly takeover of Cuba. Now, he didn't say it once.
We could very well end up having a friendly takeover of Cuba.
That wasn't a mistake.
No.
He said it purposefully.
After many, many years, we've had a lot of years of dealing with Cuba. I've been hearing about Cuba since I'm a little boy, but they're in big trouble, and we could very well, something good, I think very positive for the people that were expelled or worse from Cuba that live here. You know, we have people living here that want to go back to Cuba, and they're very happy with what's going on.
Mike,
Wow.
A friendly takeover of Cuba. I think we would be better him sticking to the UFO speech.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Now he wants to be the next president of Cuba.
All right, next one, we got more UFO stuff. We're going to be getting into some NASA speeches here, but here we go. For the first time, liquid natural gas sailed 25,000 kilometers from Australia to eastern Canada. That's 174,000 metric tons of gas, or just 78,000 tons, $40 million a cargo over a month at sea, with 15,000 plus tons of carbon dioxide burned just getting there. That's the annual emissions of 3,300 cars. All while Canada sits on some of the largest national gas reserves on Earth. They don't lack gas. They lack pipelines. So instead of moving Western Canada energy east, we import it from the other side of the planet and call ourselves climate leaders. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Those are very good points.
Oh, God, yeah. All right, we've got that one. All right, so we've got this one that goes on for 42 seconds, and this one goes on for a minute 25. All right, we've got NASA Administrator Jarek Isaacman thinks UFO sightings are misidentified prosaic craft. Let's get to his first one here. He thinks that in my 60 days at NASA, I've seen things I can't explain, but they relate entirely to programs to build things that I have no idea why we're doing it, but it's not aliens. Daryl, go ahead.
This is Elon's boy. This is who Elon wanted in this job.
All right, let's play this one, then we'll play the next one.
There have been a number of UFO reports related to nuclear facilities, and you could imagine some reasons why a extraterrestrial species would be interested in our nuclear capacities.
I could also imagine that,
or even these capacities here.
Or again, there's a lot of other people that are interested in our, strategic deterrent as well. I joke a little bit that I say that in my 60 days at NASA, I've certainly seen things that I can't explain, but they relate entirely to programs to build things that I have no idea why we're doing, but not aliens.
All right. On that refreshingly concrete answer, Jared.
All right. So let's get to a longer clip of him talking here. This one goes on for a minute 25. Again, talking about most sightings are misidentified prosaic craft, which is right. About 95% of the things that are seen, Mike, I believe, are actually prosaic, and that 5% we've got actually represent UAP, right?
Right. You are correct.
Yeah. Daryl, did you have anything else to say? Your hand was still up.
This is a huge sticking point between Musk and Trump. Was this guy because Trump canceled him, and that pissed off Elon, and then Trump got him back a few months later, and you see Musk on slapping, and this is his guy, and Elon is the guy. They're on the same side. Neither of them believe in aliens. It's just so weird to me. Are we on the wrong track? What's going on?
I don't know. Either that or they're part of the deep state. We'll figure that out.
That puts you in the camp that says a lot of the UAP, UFO sort of encounters and also sort of vapors around it are covers for human technologies.
Yes, I would say generally speaking, I think there are some that I'm aware of that were very easily explainable by not even phenomenon. Like this was a weather balloon at great range that reflected. I know those conclusively. I also know conclusively some of them were related to test programs that were out there. I mean, look, people misidentified a lot of what was flying in the 1960s and 80s. In the middle of the desert with lights on at night, looked strange. Turned out it was B-2. Turned out it was F-117. So I'm not surprised that could potentially fall in it. I would also ask people again. This is a good, kind of Occam's razor thing. If there was intelligent life that visited us from another world, where would you be interested in going to observe us? I mean, Times Square seems like a good spot. The Las Vegas Strip seems like a good spot. I mean, there's got to be interesting areas. Why would you always pick our naval bases?
Schmuck. It's because of the nuclear weapons we have on our naval bases. That's what they're... God, he is just...
ignorant after 60 days on the job.
Yeah. I guess we call this, Mike, military government intelligence at its best.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
God, it's like Crenshaw.
Who is this guy again, Thomas? Sorry to interrupt.
This is the head of NASA.
He's the head, so he's...
This is Bill Nelson's replacement.
Got you, man. I almost feel like he hired these guys because they're useful idiots, man. Like Mike said, he's very ignorant, right? You would almost want someone ignorant like him in that position.
You would want somebody that doesn't know their ass from their elbow in that position.
Or he is really, remember, Lakatsky said he could lie based on the things that he signed, right?
Right.
Maybe he has the same kind of requirements that he can talk about this, and he can lie as much as he needs to distract the people from the actual truth that's out there.
Yeah, you could be right.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
No, why would you pick off the coast of Virginia or San Diego or Hawaii?
Off the coast of San Diego where the Nimitz was, because the Nimitz is a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. Why off the East Coast? Because there were nuclear-powered aircraft carriers and other assets in that area.
That probably signals it's more of a national security interest, I would say.
That makes sense, although I will say that...
Well... It's, it's a lack of information and someone talking to things.
That puts you in the camp that's...
Rather than kind of, Mike, going ahead and just saying, well, I don't have the information on that. Next question.
Right.
Unless he's just following the script, deny, deny, deny. And if that's the case, he's doing a good job because there hasn't been an executive order targeted with NASA or wherever.
Any part of the government yet.
Yeah.
Haven't they made these guys an intelligence agency now too?
It is.
It's not a space agency. It's not a space agency. It's never a straight answer because NASA was changed, about 6 months ago from a civilian space agency to an intelligence agency.
Right.
Which means they line up under
the truth. Yep.
Their full responsibility then winds up under Tulsi Gabbard, who said she's going to bring the information out if they give it to her.
If the authorization comes from Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Which it hasn't yet.
Well, she's already moving as if she has that authorization. We'll see where it all goes. Yeah, we need that executive order so he can just get this blanket approval to let this stuff come out.
Right.
But, there's going to be that ruling of, is it national security? Is it not? Should we let it out or do we need to keep it secret? What a mess. What a mess.
Oh, yeah. Big time. And for everybody that's been playing along tonight, every time national security has come up,
take a shot.
Taking a shot. Yep.
Yeah. Which, in a lot of cases, you should be falling off your chair right now if you've had tequila or something tasty. But, yeah, the ears.
You'll be enjoying a hangover tomorrow.
Yeah, you cannot get past the ears, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy.
Are they going to flap and he's going to fly off the stage? That's what I'm hoping for.
I don't know. Poor guy. He's probably gotten a lot of shit for that in his lifetime, especially when he was a kid growing up. All right, what else we've got going on here? Well, Matt Ford is on the attack once again, Mike. Go figure. It's the role we used to have a while ago, but I'm fine with that. Tim Phillips from DOD-RO got the golden parachute, just like Sean Kirkpatrick. So Matt Ford decided to leave a message with his new employer on LinkedIn.
Who's his new employer?
Oh, it's... Hold on. Let's see if I can print screen. Let's see if I can bring this and blow it up a little bit, and we'll be able to figure out with what I've got here. No, I'm good. Oh, God. It's CELMIS or CALMIS.com. No, or it's the the IMX group. So he's a senior strategic advisor for intelligence tradecraft and data architecture with the IMX group. Let's see who is the IMX group.
Yeah, let's do that. Looks like a private company that could be a think tank. But unlike Kirkpatrick, who ended up at Oak Ridge National Laboratories, they didn't send him there. Immature.
Okay, we're trying to find this. Is this IMX Group LLC? From LinkedIn is contractors, consultants, designers of high-performance construction. IMX Group LLC is a design, build, turnkey contractor with integrated team of architects, planners, and engineers. No. It's not immature.
No.
No, it's not. I don't think he'd be working for Premier Home Builder. It's someone we don't know who the heck it is, but we're going to have to do some research to figure out who the hell the IMX group is.
Yeah, it's definitely not the government like Kirkpatrick went to. So they swept him under the rug, it seems like.
Yeah, they did. Where in the hell was I just at? All right, so we'll track down where good old Timmy Phillips went to and go from there on another day. All right, see what else we've got going here. We've got him. All right. I've got a clip here of Anna Polina Luna. It's only 20 seconds. It's better than we had before. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to play this. We should be able to play it now. Matt Laszlo asks, in President Donald Trump's UAP announcement, have you been tasked talking to anyone within the White House about UFO disclosure? Let's see what Anna Polina Luna says. Here we go.
Are you talking with Pentagon or?
I have a meeting with the Pentagon unrelated today on something, but I've been actively communicating now with the teams that are running point on that. So whether it's ODNI, FBI, Pentagon, and White House on that. And I'm looking forward to sharing what we've all seen with you.
Yep.
So she wants to share what they have seen, right? She's talking to the Pentagon. She's talking to the FBI, talking to the White House, right?
Right.
Not talking to the CIA, not talking to the DOE. She's got a very small group that she's dealing with. She's not dealing with the breadth and depth. Did she mention the DNI?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. And DNI does represent all the intel agencies if she can actually get the answer, get the information, I would say.
Right. But we know that she absolutely, positively hates Laszlo. They had a big feud, if you remember, we covered a while back.
Yeah, and she said, I am not, she had said, I'm never going to go ahead and give you any information again. If you want to see it, go ahead and look on X, and where it's going to be, you're dead to me, basically.
Right. So anything coming out of her mouth to him, I question. But we covered this on previous shows. We know the 20 or 30 documents that she keeps talking about coming forward with is a direct result of the meeting that they had with the FBI's X-Files unit, which is a very small unit on the FBI,
right.
But they're doing good work. So she got it from them, whatever it is. So, yeah, I'd like to see it public.
Yeah, she had said, yeah, there was, if you want to call it, information and stuff that they were shown by the FBI that they've never seen coming out of the DOD, which means the DOD and their RO program has been playing hide the salami really well.
That's right. And she called it out. And then after that, those two meetings they had on the same day with Arrow and the FBI, she wanted to defund Arrow, if you remember. We covered that too.
Yeah, she did. But I think Susan Goff still has her eyes on this, Mike, unfortunately.
Oh, God. Yep.
Gotta bring that up. Let's see what else I've got here on our list of stuff that we're dealing with. All right. We now know, Mike, who successfully placed the anti-SpaceX provision in the recent Ted Cruz reauthorization legislation for NASA. This is coming from Jim Bridenstine, who's a managing partner of the Artemis Group. He's a former NASA administrator. Gee, go figure. Let's see what he had to say. Space is the foundational of American economy, national security, and our way of life. The launch industrial base that assures space access is a national imperative. Section 313 of the Senate's proposed NASA Authorization Act of 2026 recognizes this reality by capping any single launch provider at 50% of NASA's total launch contract value. Congress is reinforcing competition and protecting the small and medium-sized manufacturers, propulsion companies, avionics developers, and suppliers that make up the backbone of America's space enterprise. You know what he's talking about? He's talking about all the schmucks who are involved in the Artemis program, Blue Origin excluded, who can't get their fucking ass out of their head to launch a rocket. Right. Now, competition lowers costs, accelerates innovation, and provides redundancy. No, the only way that we've got to lower costs, accelerating innovation, and providing redundancy is Elon Musk's approach, honestly. America's
all the materials.
Yeah.
Everything, yeah. There'd be no room for error.
Nothing.
Right.
America succeeds in space when American companies compete, innovate, and grow. I'm encouraged to see Congress taking meaningful steps to strengthen the industrial base that underpins both our civil and national security space missions, and I commend Chairman Ted Cruz and Ranking Member Maria Cantwell for their leadership. Oh, my God.
Well,
So
you know what? Let's see how his plan works when the president has put a deadline of less than 2 years to get back on the moon.
Yeah.
Let's see if him not wanting to have Elon have a monopoly on this, if it's going to work out with that deadline. I don't think it will.
Although Maria, I believe, is my senator, she's not my senator. I will definitely say that. All right, we've got the ones there. Isaacman. All right, we've got a little clip here of the interview again with Isaacman talking about when the crew selection for Artemis 3, Orion docking, and one of our other both lunar landers in Leo will occur. We're going to focus. Let's hear where they're focusing with Artemis again and where it's going to go, coming to us from CBS. So on that note, let me go ahead and put up that fair use on the top of the screen again. Here we go.
And for Artemis 2, the mission that's going to fly around the moon but not land, hopefully in a few weeks, that crew was picked some years ago, and they've been training ever since.
Yes.
When will you announce the crew for this mission if it's coming up just in a year from now?
I imagine we're gonna rightfully put our energy towards Artemis 2.
That's a lot of stuttering on that.
Yep, he could get the words out.
It's in a year from now.
I imagine we're gonna rightfully put our energy towards Artemis 2. There's a lot to learn from that. Believe it or not, the experiences of that crew, what they learn, what they may find, could inform the crew we select for Artemis 3. That's why we do the flights the way we do. So it could come back and say what we encountered in that vehicle is going to require some of the background or specialization that we want to put in Artemis 3, or maybe, depending on who the whichever lander could be available. Again, ideally both. We have subject matter expert astronauts that have been working alongside those landers for a long time. So we're going to focus on Artemis 2. We're going to get that crew back safely. We're going to learn from it, and then we're going to move on to Artemis 3.
And for Artemis,
but what's there to learn from, Mike? They're launching a crew to go fucking around the moon and come back.
That we did nearly 60 years ago.
So why couldn't, they could launch it, but they've already done it once. Didn't they put enough sensors on there to figure out what the astronauts are going to be experiencing without having to put live monkeys in there and fly them around it, literally?
Right. Yes, you would think. We had Apollo missions that actually set foot on the moon almost 60 years ago.
Yeah.
But why is it so difficult now in the 21st century?
Because Boeing lost all the information. It was generational loss, and when they left, they didn't archive the data in a way they should have.
Right.
I'll blame it on NASA first, as being the agency who paid companies like Boeing to get us there, for not getting the know-how and archiving it. And we can also look at Boeing saying, why didn't you save this information? They figured, well, we're never going to need this again. Don't keep it.
Right, because, we're never going to go back up into space. That's pretty narrow-minded thinking, if you ask me.
We've already been there. We've done that. We'll never do it again. There's nothing up there that's useful for us. Very short-sighted.
There's helium-3 up there. We now know there's frozen ice and water up there. There's a lot of reasons to go back, but obviously Boeing doesn't seem to think so.
No. Not at all, my friend. All right, we said we're going to talk about Hillary and UFOs. There's a reason she was asked about UFOs. We don't have the videos on that just yet. In her recent, if you want to call it, meeting with the House of Representatives, where she was pulled in under subpoena and threat of being put into jail. But apparently we've got a letter here from November 1st, 1995. I'm not sure where this is coming from. This is from the Rockefellers talking to President Clinton to consider a declassification review on UFO information. So here we go. Dear Jack, attached are a draft letter to the president, which Lawrence has been discussing with Mrs. Clinton and her staff, and 2, a draft report on the best evidence about UFOs. Love to see that information, my friend. They should declassify it. Lawrence thinks that this is perhaps timely to send a letter to the president. We think the best evidence report, although we haven't reviewed it in detail or analyzed it, is a good piece of work. Lawrence would like to discuss these items by telephone, perhaps Thursday, November 2nd, between 11:30 and 12:30, if this time is convenient for you. Coming from Dr. John H. Gibbons, Assistant to the President for Science and Technology, Old Executive Office Building, Room 424, Washington, D.C. Interesting.
Yeah. It is.
I also have to go ahead and take a look of, there were statements by Hillary Clinton when she was running for office saying, if I get elected, I'm going to give you the UFO information. So this is something that's near and dear to her.
Podesta, her head of the campaign, head chief of staff, his emails got leaked. They were hacked. And it showed that if she had been elected, she wanted to be the disclosure president, but that never happened.
No, it didn't, Mike. No, it did not, unfortunately. All right, what else we have here? All right.
Called.
Oh, God, Biggers is back again.
Real quick, before you change the subject, Thomas, I wasn't sure. I walked away from the phone.
Go for it.
Were you guys talking about how they asked Hillary Clinton about UFOs during her disposition?
Yes, I did. Yes, I was. We haven't gotten the exact videos of that yet, but that's something that's going to be released in the next day or so.
So, yeah, it'll be released when they release it. They'll show what they asked. And, yeah, I guess I was going to ask you, why would they ask her that during that? Is it because she's under oath and they have her under oath?
Yeah.
Might as well ask her.
And Burleson is there, and Luna is there, and probably maybe even perhaps Tim Burchett could be there. All of them still have interest in this, and they're aware of her involvement with this in the past. And if they have her under oath, frickin' ask her the question. Why not?
Got you. Okay. Yeah.
Do you think that's a good idea?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Definitely. Absolutely. All right. It's a NASA day today. All right. This is a happy speech coming from NASA Minister Jarek Isaacman. Message to the American people about the Artemis program and trying to reassure us on where it's going to go.
For 35 years, presidents have called for American astronauts to return to the
Let me get this a little bit larger here. Hold on.
Have called for American astronauts to return to the moon. President Donald Trump took the first decisive step during his first term when he created the Artemis program. He recommitted to this endeavor when he signed America's space superiority policy, which not only calls for a return to the moon, but to build the lunar base and establish an enduring presence. This responsibility rightfully falls on the world's most accomplished space agency, NASA, to achieve. We have taken positive steps, but the moment for focus and urgency has arrived. In the weeks ahead, America will send the brave Artemis II astronauts further into space than ever before, around the moon, on a 10-day mission that will test the SLS rocket and Orion spacecraft before returning to Earth. As the plan stands today, the next mission you would see launch is Artemis III, which would attempt a crewed landing on the moon in 2028. Launching a lunar rocket every 3 years is not a strategy consistent with success. We are learning the same lessons because skills atrophy without repetition. In fact, across all NASA programs, from Mercury through Space Shuttle, this is by far the lowest launch cadence in the history of America's space program. The plan is not evolutionary in design, but instead reaches for a fully realized end state without building the foundation required to achieve it. In alignment with President Trump's national space policy and making the absolute most of the resources provided under President Trump's Working Family Tax Cut Act, along with the funding and support of Congress, we are altering the plan and bringing extreme focus to this grand endeavor. I'm pleased to announce the following. We will standardize the remaining SLS rockets to a near Block 1 configuration. We will strengthen our workforce and rebuild our core competencies in ground systems and stacking operations, bringing down turnaround times and accelerate our launch cadence from every 3 years.
Hold on a second here. I want to focus on this.
Near Block 1 configuration. We will strengthen our workforce and rebuild our core competency.
So they're going to strengthen their workforce, which means they're incompetent.
Right.
They don't have the training they need.
In ground systems and stacking operations.
And ground systems and stacking operations, which means they have no clue on how to put this thing together without making mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing down pad turnaround times and accelerate our launch cadence from every 3 years.
Increase our cadence, which means we're way too slow at what we're trying to do.
To every 10 months.
From once every 3 years to once every 10 months. Meanwhile, we're going to have Starship launching rockets almost freaking every couple of weeks.
To send supplies up to the moon, ready to build. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We will pull in Artemis 3 and launch in 2027 with the aim to rendezvous with one or both lunar lander providers in low Earth orbit, gaining confidence in lander and XEVA suit systems. We will then prepare for up to 2 lunar landing missions in 2028. In the 1960s, NASA achieved
2 lunar landing operations in 2028 is what they're going to shoot for.
That's what Elon's doing, is one of those.
Yeah, and the other one's going to Blue Origin from Jeff Bezos, right?
I'm not sure the other one is.
I believe it is, yeah. Here we go.
Achieved the near impossible in an evolutionary way. We flew Mercury, Gemini, and many Apollo missions before landing on the moon. While we have learned much since then, with enhanced capabilities supported by the best industry partners imaginable, we cannot always jump straight to the desired end state. We need less needless complexity, less distraction, more launches,
less complexity mean their design sucks. It's overly complex.
Right.
Yeah.
operational muscle memory.
Yep, they are, unfortunately.
And extreme focus on the mission. We gladly accept the challenge of returning NASA astronauts to the moon after more than a half century, and this time to build a moon base to stay. This is the NASA that once changed the world. This is the NASA that will do it again.
I don't know. My confidence is not so high. They said it's weeks until we go ahead and launch Artemis, Mike. Is it really going to be weeks, or is it going to be months like it was with the Starliner?
Why don't we take a poll of the audience, see what they
think?
Yeah, I'm going on the bullshit artist one on this one.
Oh, yeah, sorry, the sound effects aren't loaded. I'm not going to do it now because I'll probably crash something. Start a poll. All right. Artemis launch. Weeks or months. That's all we're going to get as an option. Weeks or months. Okay, audience, this is your chance. Okay, Google, set a timer for 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Got it. 1 minute and 30 seconds. And that's starting
now. Okay, I'm not going to play the sound effects. You guys aren't going to complain that I didn't turn off the sound effects yet. Let's go ahead and see where we're going to go. All right, there we go. All right, already out of the gate, we've got Artemis launch will be in months. 87% of the audience. With just a minute and 10 seconds left, we got 36 votes in. And how many people do we have watching? A bunch. If you're having a good time, 270 people watching. If you're having a good time, let's hear your vote, my friend. Let's see what you're going to take this. I know a lot of people can't vote on TV, but if you're on your phone, you're on your computer, take a second. Let's see if we can get up to 60, 70 votes on this. We only got 52 seconds left, unfortunately, with 43 votes in. Either way, I don't think the numbers are going to change too much. Eh, Mike?
No, they're not.
It's even going up higher, 87%.
Bezos, Blue Origin, his crotch rocket, they better send enough body bags along with it. They're gonna need
you mean his rockets that look like a giant penis?
Penis, that's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
The crotch rocket.
Hey, but you know what they need to go along with that, Mike? They need a good supply of Avi Lube. Let it slide right in outer space.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. 16 seconds left with 50 votes in. I don't think it's going to change much for where we're at, but hey, I'll take that. Brian Pemble, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, look, Thomas, I'm all for competition, and I appreciate this gentleman's, I guess, kind of attitude, I guess, that they want to do it. But look, NASA was shut down during the Obama administration. I am predicting way more than months. There will be delays. I wish them the best. But I don't know if you remember, Thomas, when pigs fly, I think this is about a year ago that I've shown my flying pig. And
Yep.
I'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Nick, your hand is up. Do you have something relevant?
Yes, Thomas. I believe that this Artemis launch will happen in 2027. And I also believe that they're probably going to see some aliens on this launch, something like that.
They're going to do what with aliens on this launch?
They're going to see aliens on this launch, probably.
Oh, really? Interesting. Well, let's write it down in the books. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. But you know what? It never hurts to dream, does it, Nick? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. What a great show so far, Mike. I think I've about covered everything that I've had in my list of stuff to go ahead and cover. I don't think there's anything that I haven't covered.
And then some.
And then some, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah, I've got one thing.
Information.
We know we're trying to get the SAVE Act. You know why we talked about weekend at Diane's for Dianne Feinstein?
Yeah.
Well, here we go. We got Mitch McConnell going ahead to vote against the SAVE Act being pushed around the Capitol.
For McConnell, can you give us some information on
In a
why
wheelchair.
you blocked the SAVE Act, or any information on your thoughts on what Rep. Tim Burchett said about staffers running your office? Any comments, sir?
Nothing.
For McConnell, can you give us
Is it that maybe he can't walk,
give
or
us
is
some
this just him? I think this is just him being him and not just taking questions from anything. It's just, it's a good question. Tim Burchett called it out. He's not in control of what's going on. He's just a puppet for his staff who's actually making his votes.
Yeah, it's all the strokes he keeps having.
And supposedly he's the one who actually helped shoot down and kill the UAP Disclosure Act year after year. It was his chief of staff that did it.
Right, his staff members, correct.
Yeah, what a schmuck. Maybe it's time to retire. Brian, your hand is up.
Yeah, I know you're trying to shut down the show, Thomas, but this is exactly right. Now, this is the same thing as Dianne Feinstein. When you become incompetent and you can no longer perform the mental functions, I'm not saying the physical, but the mental functions of the office, you should retire and you should hand it over and have a special election. And this is the same thing on the Democrat side. It's the same thing on the Republican side. It's an absolute shame that these staffers have full run of any senator or House member for that matter.
Yeah.
It's an absolute shame to the American people.
Go retire. Enjoy the remaining golden years you've got left.
Exactly right.
Wow. Yeah, I saw this one. Nothing against him. He's in a wheelchair. I get it. Yes, elder abuse coming in there. Rainstorm Hunter couldn't agree more. And it's just, this seems to be the running joke of our government, Brian, where we keep on getting these people that are beyond their times. They're a shadow. They're a shell of their former self, but they're still in there. And God, at least he's retiring, because you know what? There's still people who would still vote for him, even in this case.
Yeah, and you're right. It is a shame because we're all going to be there one day, hopefully. Right?
Yeah.
But we don't want these people making decisions for the majority of Americans, and
especially if it's affecting disclosure, and he's not even has the wherewithal to know where it's going. For the reason you want to bring disclosure forward, the reason you want to have the UAP Disclosure Act. But if you've got the people who are surrounding him, who are guiding him and telling him exactly what to do, and he just follows along with it, it's just a shame.
And I'm sure a lot of those staffers are probably ex-Intel. Or our intel and things like that,
or they're doing the bidding for people who are bringing suitcases of money along to lobby, and they're going ahead and trying to, if you want to call it, set up the place they're going to go to after he's out of office.
That's exactly right. And so the aerospace companies, for example, would be one.
Military contractors is another one.
Correct. Would be giving money to these campaigns, these super PACs, and that gets funneled in different directions. And then so that's what we see all the time. This is why everybody's been talking about it forever, and especially you and Mike on this show have been talking about it for a long time. This is no large secret, and so you start seeing the handlers wheeling somebody around. This is gold for them. This is great. He doesn't have to do anything. He just has to sit there, and they can literally handle him.
But he handles this the same way Chuck Schumer does. He walks along with his handlers. They don't say anything, and they ask him questions going along the way, and then he looks at him as he gets in the elevator and the door closes. It's a lack of accessibility of the public to understand what's the logic on these guys. I guess they don't have to give it, but they should be open and transparent.
Yeah, and just one more quick thing. I mean, in this particular one, on an 81% issue across both aisles, that he's still against it, obviously shows that the representation, not only in the Senate, but also the House, even though the House passed it, it's not fully representing the will of the American people, and that's not the way.
Supposedly, he's been preventing it from coming up from a vote as well. He's been working behind the scenes to prevent that. You're right. 81% of the American people want this passed. They want accountability for it.
Yeah, and John Thune does not want to end what's called the standing filibuster, where you're able to filibuster anything just by saying it. Whereas back in the day, the original intention of the
You're supposed to get up there and talk for days. Right. If you want to do a filibuster, you do it. Just don't declare it as it's not a silent filibuster. What the hell is that?
Yeah, that was because they didn't want to stand up there for days and days and days. There was, I forget. But
that's the point. If you want to get it across and block it, you have to be there for days and days and days until you fall over, and then you can go ahead and do it.
That's right. And so how many times, aside from the State of the Union and maybe one or two other times, do you see actually every member in the House actually talking and debating? I mean, that's how it was supposed to work. You're supposed to be face-to-face and debating. That does not happen anymore.
No.
You see one person up there giving a speech and the whole House is empty. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
We need to get back to the old school things, in my opinion, where people can debate, and so I think we should bring back the standing filibuster.
Yep, absolutely. And I do have another video clip for those people that are still hanging out. Yes, there is more news that I missed. I didn't cover yet. I've got a clip here of Representative Luna about asking Clinton about UFO disclosure. Let's go ahead and let me shut down this piece here, and let's go ahead and bring up this one last clip here. I might have more. Let's go ahead and get to this. Here we go. All right, so let's get to this one coming to us from UAP James over on X. Let's see what they have to say here. Just 12 seconds. It's really short, but...
She was asked about things like UFOs, Pizzagate. Can you explain why those topics were brought up?
To be clear, Secretary Clinton actually asked us about what happened with the disclosure language in the NDAA.
She was asked about things like UFOs, Pizzagate. Can you explain why...
So it's actually Clinton asking about it. It's not Clinton being asked. Interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good point, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. I guess, shows she's still interested in it. Or either that or she's trying to distract the people and get them off topic.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You're right. Could be any one of those things.
Exactly. Well, Mike, what a great show. If you look at the time, we've been going for 2 hours at this point. It's our cutoff time. I want to thank you for coming in tonight and everybody. No super chats. Oh, actually, we did get a couple super chats. I missed them. One of them we had from Daryl is here. Remember, we're a fan-funded program. I want to thank Daryl Zernick in the back for the wonderful super chat we got tonight. My fault for not going ahead and thanking him. I wasn't paying attention. I was more paying attention on the audience, making sure we've got the content going. Also from Steve Mateo, thank you very much, and thank you for your donation. We appreciate what everyone throws in the kitty here for what we do at Disclosure tonight. Mike, Daryl in the back, thanks for being a part of the show.
It was a great episode. Thank you for doing it, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everybody, and we'll catch you on the flip side. See you tomorrow, everybody. I'll come back now here